Hey guys, let's get more news from Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Tyler Harrow leveled up in Miami Heat's Game 2 win over Celtics. The Miami Heat needed more from Tyler Harrow. After a blowout loss to the Boston Celtics in Game 1 and facing the team with the league's best record, top-rated offense and second-best defense, perhaps they were demanding too much. Still, with Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier still sidelined and facing long-shot odds, Harrow delivered. But it wasn't just the scoring, even though the Heat needed the scoring. 24 points on 13 shots, including an efficient 6 for 11 on threes. More important was the playmaking and composure to be the leader of an offense in need of an identity. "That's the best playmaking you've ever done," Erik Spoelstra told Harrow in the locker room after the game. Harrow finished Miami's 111-101 Game 2 win with 14 assists. Miami's game plan in Game 1 didn't work. They scrapped it and started over. Instead of trying to drag the game into the mud, they bought it an airline ticket and let it fly. They shot more threes, making a franchise playoff high 23 of 43. After the Celtics outscored the Heat by 30 from beyond the arc in Game 1, the Heat turned around and did the same in Game 2. They took more shots early in the shot clock, and Harrow created open looks by masterfully operating through the pick and roll with Bam Adebayo. Over and over, Harrow forced the defense to rotate and kick the ball out to the open shooter. Here's Harrow's first assist of the game. A drive-in kick to Nikola Jovic in the occupied corner. Harrow gets the dribble handoff, comes around Adebayo's screen, brings Jovic's defender, Jaylen Brown, in with a jump stop and spoon feeds Jovic an open corner three-pointer. The Heat moved with purpose. They flew around the arc, made the simple pass and took shots quickly. What is usually a methodical offense kept things extraordinarily simple. Boston's defense was unusually slow to react, but, after Miami's sluggish Game 1, they might not have expected this level of pop. Harrow held onto the ball for an extra beat or two when he needed to get a defender to bite. When he did, he got the ball to the closest shooter. Here, Harrow comes off a screen, Bam Adebayo screens off his chasing defender and Harrow holds the ball to force Brown to jump out to him. As soon as Brown lunges, Harrow makes the easy pass. Like Jovic, Martin was spoon-fed open looks. He made 5 of his 6 attempts from distance. When the simple pass wasn't there, and Harrow had to dribble more, he did. Harrow can be accused of over-dribbling at times, and it's a fair criticism because it usually leads to contested mid-range jumpers. When Harrow handled the ball on Wednesday, it was to search for pressure points in Boston's defense. After the Celtics cut the lead to 6 with just more than 3 minutes left, Spoelstra called a timeout and dialed up a 5-out set with Harrow and Bam running a side pick and roll. With the Celtics loading up on one side, Harrow had 2 receivers on the weak side, where Boston had just 1 defender. This pass looks easy, but it's the timing that makes it sing. Wait too long, and Brown will have a chance to close out on Martin while another defender rotates over. You can see Kristaps Porzingis rushing over to Jamie Jaquez Jr. in the corner. Credit to Martin for letting this one go, even with Brown giving a decent closeout. The Heat too often pass out of these good shots searching for a great one that never comes. If Martin had passed to Jaquez in the corner, maybe Porzingis gets there. Jimmy Butler trolls Celtics, Jaylen Brown with IG post after Heat win Game 2. Jimmy Butler hasn't played for the Miami Heat in their first-round series against the Boston Celtics, as he's dealing with an MCL sprain. After Miami beat Boston in Game 2 and tied the series 1-1, Butler decided to get involved by trolling Jaylen Brown. When the two teams met in the Eastern Conference Finals last season, the Heat led 3-0 at one point. Ahead of Game 4 and looking to avoid being swept, Jaylen Brown said, "Don't let us get one." Boston nearly lived up to the words of Brown as they forced a Game 7, but couldn't complete the comeback. This time around many expected the Heat to be thoroughly outmatched even at full strength, let alone without Butler available. So, when Miami snatched a surprising Game 2 victory after being blown out by 20 points in Game 1, Butler deemed it the perfect moment to borrow the phrase. Photoshopping his face onto a graphic of Brown with the quote, "Don't let us get one," Butler posted it to Instagram with the caption, "Feeling cute, might delete later." Psyche, I ain't deleting. The Celtics were the top overall seed in the 2024 NBA playoffs. After allowing 22 three-pointers in Game 1, Miami beat Boston with a franchise playoff record 23 three-pointers in Game 2. Now, the series shifts to South Beach. Celtics coach Joe Mazzula stymied by Heat coach Erik Spoelstra's game plan. The Celtics had to know this was coming, right? They knew the only way the Miami Heat would be able to win Game 2 was by living behind the three-point line, going completely out of character and taking their chances. And it worked. Miami coach Erik Spoelstra had 2 full days to prepare for Game 2 and completely dominated his matchup with Joe Mazzula, bringing back painful memories of last year's Eastern Conference Finals. Caleb Martin being left open for threes, didn't the Celtics learn this wasn't a good strategy when he turned into Steph Curry last year? Tyler Harrow not only knocking down threes but also turning into a playmaker, the Celtics can allow one but not both. And a swarming Miami defense that turned Kristaps Porzingis into a major liability, -32 in his 30 minutes, and limited the Celtics' three-point looks was the perfect response to turn this into a series. The Celtics were drubbed, 111-101, on Wednesday at TD Garden because the Heat played chess while the Celtics were asking if there were flying kings. Miami made a club record 23 three-pointers on 43 attempts. The Heat were 13 for 24 in the first half, begging the Celtics to make an adjustment to limit the attempts. Instead, they just hoped Miami would miss. They didn't. It was 10 for 19 in the second half. The first adjustment was to try to become more efficient on the offensive end, and we were able to do that in some stretches, Mazzula said. It was a 2 or 3 possession game with the Heat shooting 55% from 3. I know that's the thing we've been built on, taking what the defense gives us and being able to win in different ways. Talent is good enough to win on most nights during the regular season, but this is the playoffs and Mazzula is facing one of the game's best coaches. What is highly disappointing is Miami's game plan was no secret. We're not talking about the rope-a-dope here. Miami taking more three-pointers and limiting the Celtics' attempts was the only way the Heat could make this game competitive. Yet, the Celtics appeared unprepared at times. They were erratic offensively and played right into the Heat's hands, attacking the rim to moderate success. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined for 15 three-pointers and the remaining 8 players combined for 17, including a combined 1 attempt from Peyton Pritchard and Al Horford. Miami took the Celtics completely out of their game, turned them into drivers against multiple defenders, and then the defense offered lazy closeouts to Heat shooters. It was the Eastern Conference Finals all over again, except Jimmy Butler was back in Miami rehabilitating his knee injury. It's not inexcusable for the Celtics to have an off night and lose, but it is inexcusable to fail to make adjustments and allow Spoelstra to completely change the perception of the Celtics and their title chances with a 48-minute masterpiece. It wasn't that the Celtics came out flat or lackadaisical. It's that they truly believed they could beat Miami by just sticking to their standard game plan and hoping their talent would win out. They did nothing differently than in Game 1. Mazzula implemented no new wrinkles. He coached the game with arrogance because of their 64-win regular season. He relied on his talent to prevail over the more cohesive team that embraced a new game plan. And you fan, what do you think of the Joe Mazzula situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.